Hello and welcome to the PE Insights podcast, conversations about physical education with me, Nathan Walker. Thank you for joining me. You're very, very welcome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as we delve into another insight around physical education. Hello, welcome back. PE Insights podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. Just a quick one. This is a midweek bonus episode. You would have noticed a couple of weeks back I launched 2 vodcasts, and this is the second of the 2 vodcasts, which is a conversation with Sam Moinet. Sam is a former history teacher and the founder of Student Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy. He is on a worthwhile mission to transform mental health support in UK schools, not just for children, but for school leaders and educators too. Sam shares a very personal story in this episode, but also some real valuable takeaway points for anyone who's working in education. So thanks for joining me again. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Sam, hi, welcome to the PE Insights podcast.
Nathan, so excited to be here, mate. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I appreciate you coming on. I'm really excited to have a conversation with you today. So let's start. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Sam. I'm a history teacher and also the founder of 2 companies, Student Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy. And my aim now is to revolutionise mental health support in schools.
Mm-hmm. So how are you doing that? What does a day-to-day thing look like for you?
Yeah, at the moment, the business has changed quite a lot from when I first started. We can get into this in a little bit, but I started just working with students on one-to-one with their mental health.
Okay.
When I was still a teacher and then left. And now primarily I train teachers, but I'm also still at that growth stage of the business. So while I'm training, I'm speaking, I'm doing that. I'm still, making sales, doing the marketing, basically being an entrepreneur and trying to grow the great systems that we're building to improve the mental health in schools.
Yeah, amazing. So how many schools are you working with? Is it, you're in the growth stage?
Well, I've been going for 5 years now. We've got a great team of 5. We've done some work in China, in Cuba, Spain, Portugal, obviously lots of schools in the UK where I'm based, but we just keep testing it. And that's the most important thing I think anything in life when you're starting something new.
Yeah.
Like just keep saying yes to those new opportunities. And that's what Richard Branson, I know, said in one of his books. His book is titled Say Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just about testing and tweaking. And we're getting to a place where people are really receptive to it in different cultures. And that's really where we're trying to grow it too.
Amazing. Tell us a little bit about your educational journey then. So you obviously, you started somewhere. You wanted to become a teacher at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, Nathan, but I never wanted to be a teacher.
Really? I did, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, because it's
definitely not.
Led me to where I am now, right? But I knew early when I was in about, I think year 9, I knew I wanted to be involved in teaching of some sort, whether it's coaching sport or teaching physical education, and that's the pathway I followed. So I fell into that. But
it's
didn't.
Nice. And no, I didn't. I literally fell into it.
Well, you did.
So my story begins with, and if you listen to this as well, you probably looked up to someone when you were a little kid, around about the age of, I don't know, 10 years old, let's say. It might be a sports coach, a PE teacher. For me, I looked up to my dad. My dad still is an inspirational man. He was a Royal Marine Commando. He fought in the Falklands. Super tough guy. And I'm the oldest of 3 boys. But I was this oldest son that was quite anxious. Got picked on. I had these clunky Harry Potter glasses that actually said Harry Potter on the side. Back in the day, it wasn't a good look. So I didn't really have this confidence that my dad was this masculinity that he had. I really kind of wanted that.
Yeah.
And I made the choice, I remember at 10, really early on, that I'm going to be a soldier. That'll make my dad proud of me. That'll make my dad love me, all this stuff. All these fake beliefs that we take on in childhood. I rolled with that one. And if you imagine that's your dream from 10, I then achieved that dream in 2012. I was doing the initial test for the army training. I got accepted into the Royal Anglian Regiment, and my life was made up.
Yeah.
I remember getting that letter from the Royal Anglians, and I finally felt like life was complete, and I was on this, everything had been going towards this point.
Yeah.
But then what happened was I didn't really appreciate that life will throw us a curveball. It will throw us a challenge, a setback. And 2 weeks after I got accepted, I then got diagnosed with a condition called Crohn's disease.
Right.
And the letter from the army was, unfortunately, you failed the medical exam. You won't be able to join any of the armed forces. And basically, that's it. And I remember it was 2012. I collapsed onto the floor in the fetal position, and I grabbed my legs into my chest and just cried uncontrollably.
Wow.
Because this disease, this condition had taken away my dream.
Yeah. Right.
And I was lost for a good... that was the start of this mental health journey, which I'm still on. But it was this dark cloud that just grew over me. I got a job I was being a barista at M&S coffee shop or something like that.
Right.
I was serving these old Lear's tea cakes. And I was thinking, there's got to be more to this than, got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
And so my dad was a soldier. Guess what my mum was? A teacher.
Right.
Taught primary school and then later went into the nursery school business. So I had that element in me as well. And for the record, I made a much better teacher than I would have done a soldier, I think.
What makes you say that?
Because while I like the organisation, the leadership, that I would imagine, because remember I never made it, I'd imagine what army life would have given me. I'm actually pretty sensitive and have a lot of empathy, and I'm a big caregiver. Again, you could say which are traits, but I feel like I was more suited to teaching looking back. But we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
No, everything's always on the way. Nothing's ever in the way.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that Crohn's was meant for me. This part of the journey then shot me into, pun intended, into teaching. And I became a history teacher.
Yeah.
Back in 2014. And I absolutely hated it.
Why history?
That was my degree.
Okay.
And I do love history. Sorry to say. People think I teach PE, maybe because I'm a young looking guy, but no, I teach history.
Yeah.
I did have a tweed blazer as well. But I really hated it. And I didn't hate the students. I didn't hate the education system. I didn't hate history. I hated myself. And when you start a new job like that, you've got your childhood trauma with a small T for me, you got this failure and setback, feeling like a victim. You'll then start teaching as an NQT, as was back then. And I just started to crumble.
Right.
And when I say crumble, I was pinned down by anxiety in my bed. I couldn't get into school and teach some days.
Okay.
I became a chronic insomniac. I was having like half an hour sleep. I was marking history essays at between 1 to 4 in the morning. And then it got to the point in 2015 where I was teaching a group of year 11s and I was in bits inside. The classic like fake smile, but inside I was in absolute turmoil.
Yeah.
This girl, I always remember her name, Susie, and she looks me dead in the eye. She sat right near my desk at the front. She said, "Sir, are you okay?" Just like a genuine question. I responded back to Susie with fine. "Yeah, Susie, yeah, I'm fine." And the acronym for fine, which you want to recognize in your students and also your colleagues, is feelings inside, not expressed. And I said those words fine. I grabbed my whiteboard pen because I can feel this emotion building in me. And I turn away from the group of year 11s and sort of pretend to fake write on the whiteboard because that was the moment I had tears rolling down my face in front of the group.
Wow.
And crying in front of a group of year 11s, not really a vibe.
Yeah. I can imagine.
However, it was the catalyst. When you're at the bottom of the mountain, it was the catalyst for me then reaching out and getting additional support.
Okay.
And this is why I'm so pumped up about the work that I do now, because it's transforming the mental health of teachers through coaching, but also the students. So again, if you've met someone, you're listening to this, that person that's been really instrumental in your life, someone that's been transformative in your life. This guy I met 23rd of April, 2015, had my first ever coaching session. And I'm big into sports, primarily football, rugby, cricket. And that's what I thought coaching was. I thought coaching was just for sport.
Yeah.
What transpired was this was a coach, my mindset, how I felt inside. And on the 23rd of April, 2015, I opened up to someone non-judgmentally about how I was feeling. And it was again, it was a transformational experience for me. I learned this one thing, which was to express, don't suppress.
Yeah.
because I've been taught, like, this classic toxic masculinity that we need to man up, pull your socks up, guys don't show emotion. What happens is over time, it's like constantly shaking up the Coke bottle without releasing the pressure on the lid. And it happens in 23rd of April, in that year, where I just explode in front of the class with emotion. And after this experience with this coach, I walked around Milton Keynes, where I'm from. I was living at the time. And the whole park I was in, it was like taking sunglasses off on holiday. I mean, it was like bright, vibrant. I felt alive for the first time. And you know what? Because I dealt with my inner demons to an extent, right? Very basic surface level to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Because I dealt with my inner stuff, I just then was able to become a much better teacher. I went back into school the next day, literally with a spring in my step, ready to serve, ready to help kids. And I loved it. And I still love teaching. I think it's the best job in the world. Yes, there's problems with it, but those moments of helping kids, and I just started to build good relationships.
Yeah,
I got good grades, but it was more like the relationship building. And then, you've seen, Nathan, I'm sure, in students and in colleagues, but I saw many students that were struggling when I had this new awareness of, oh, wow, I've improved my mental health a little bit.
Yeah.
But then there's loads of kids that are struggling, and I got frustrated and I wanted to do something about it.
Yeah.
Actually, I wasn't frustrated. I was annoyed. I was angry. I didn't have the training as an NQT. I couldn't even look after myself. There's got to be a different way.
Okay.
And that was the moment where I decided to become a coach, a counselor, a therapist. I came down on coaching and created a business called Student Breakthrough and became a qualified coach. And that was back in 2017.
So you're no longer in the classroom?
Yeah. So I sold a coaching package for, I think, about 40 quid. And I had this big gutsy, I'm going to go and do it on my own. So I left formal classroom teaching in 2018. Although I've been flirting with it now and again. I still get into school. I get into schools a lot. I still teach some history now and again. Yeah. But I left teaching in 2018 and really struggled again because I was just a teacher. No one shows you how to run a business. And I was losing money, couldn't pay my rent. Anxiety was back. And I got a supply teaching job. And I was teaching the First World War, get a knock on the door, and this head teacher says, we'd love for you to work and coach our PP and LAC students. And there's this first bit of relief that, okay, I've got some money coming in. I'm still doing what I love. I'm coaching. I'm helping these kids with their mental health, with their confidence. And then the last part of the story, really, I've been saying yes. I said that at the start. Family events, podcasts, online courses, teacher training, large assemblies, you name it. And the last part of the story is in 2021, a school in North London said, can you train our staff in coaching? And being totally upfront, I'm no guru. I've still got my tough days. And at that point in my life, I was in a low place. So I was in a low place. I made this rough and ready pilot scheme. All the aim was to help the teachers learn how to coach kids. Yeah. What I started to see was that the teachers' mental health was skyrocketing. They were going through the coaching program, using the exercises. And that was when the Educators Coaching Academy was born. And that's now been in, like I say, multiple countries internationally, dozens of schools in the UK. And we're just at a very exciting point of bringing coaching into the classroom to help, yes, PE teachers, but also any teachers, anyone that has those interactions with students that wants to level up themselves. So that's my little journey.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's really, it's inspirational, actually. And, you talked quite personally and sensitively about your journey there. But I think the key message for me that came out was the fact that not only is it important to look after your own well-being for your, performance and your own identity, but the awareness to see it in others, right? You said there that in looking after your own mental health and, you became a bit more stable, but then you were able to see maybe others that were facing challenges that were similar to yours as well. And that's really quite a powerful thing to consider. So physical education, right, as a subject, what are your thoughts on PE?
Well, it's vitally important. It's unbelievably important. And the fact that when I left that last school back in 2018, I think they were reducing sports day down or making sports day almost like null and void, because it's all focused on academics. But for PE, it's that chance for kids and students to express themselves in a different way. And you know what it's like. I'm currently injured myself and I can't move. And it's very, very frustrating because when we move our bodies, that motion creates the emotion. And even if students aren't quote unquote sporty or they don't see themselves in that way, like getting out, doing something different, moving your body, teaches you so much and gives you those great feelings of endorphin release or whatever it is. So yeah, PE's played a vital role in my life, and sport has in my life. And I think we need to go back into delivering more of it and getting students more active for sure in the school and outside.
So from your understanding, what does movement do for our mental health and well-being then?
Like I said there, so we do get wrapped up sometimes in a certain feeling, like I'm not feeling great today or whatever it is. And a lot of the time we don't even register that. We just go through the day, moment to moment to moment. A moment in science is measured in 3 seconds. So we go through these moments throughout the day, but we never really pause and think, well, how am I actually feeling right now? And checking in with that and actually asking your students that is super important. Because once we can check in, we can realize, well, ask yourself this question: what do I need right now? And for a lot of the time, for me personally, talking from my own experience, what I need in those moments, and probably what you need in those moments, is to change your state and to get out and do something different, whether that is literally going on a walk right now on crutches, I'm hobbling around, but still changing my state. You can go and do a big workout, go play sport, whatever. But it's about the 1%, right? And I guarantee, and I'm sure you'll agree, Nathan, that even just moving your body, even just stretching in that moment will change your state and give you some form of release. Obviously, chemically, but also, with your mental health. The link is huge. Yeah. Because health is wealth. Right? A bit of a cringe quote, but it's so true. And the more you can look after the physical body, the more your mental health can be pulled up alongside it, and vice versa. Yeah.
So how many times would you recommend someone to check in on themselves on, daily, hourly? What's your recommendation?
There's a great tool I can give the audience right now for this. So it's called Calm. So you might be driving. Don't write this down, but if you've got a pen, you might write this one down. It's called Calm. And it's a great way to check in with students, with yourselves. And actually those moments where you change from, let's say you go from school back home, where do we ever check in with that? We take this energy from the day. And as we know as teachers, the end of the day can be quite tough.
Yeah.
And we take all that energy back to our partners, to our families. And I think just having this, it can take a minute just to check in before you step through the door, will really shift your energy into just grounding. Okay, I'm not teaching now. I'm back in dad mode or partner mode, or whatever you want to call it. The C stands for check-in, which is what emotion am I currently experiencing?
Yeah.
Let's do it, Nathan. What emotion are you currently experiencing right now?
I'm curious and excited, actually.
Yeah, nice. Okay, curiosity and excited. That's good. The A stands for airway, and that is taking a meaningful breath. We have 70,000 thoughts a day. Our brains are constantly whirring, subconsciously, consciously. And the A is the airway. It's like dropping an anchor off the side of a ship lost at sea, just bring us back into the present. And that's taking a box breath. So there's many different breathing techniques. I love meditation and breath work. This is breathing in through your nose for a count of 4.
Yeah.
It's holding for 4. It's exhaling through your mouth for a count of 4, and then holding for 4. So we can do it together. So let's inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and just allow your breathing to come back to normal. So we take a meaningful breath. That's like, okay, reset. And by the way, we want to do that about 3 to 6 times. And then the L I love. The L stands for let go. And it's really justifying why you're feeling this way. So it's okay to feel curious and excited because. So just let's check in with this. So what's making you curious and excited right now?
Oh, well, I'm curious about, what you're going to share and, your perspectives and your insights. But with that, I'm also excited about, this podcast episode and the direction that it might take the podcast in the future. Obviously, your insight's very different. You're sharing a very different sort of dimension to our previous listeners. And, I think it's going to get people excited to listen and maybe listen to future podcast episodes.
Nice. Well, thank you for the kind words.
They're both quite positive things, right? So Would I have to let go of those if they're not positive?
It's just checking in with what the emotion is. It doesn't matter.
If they
You
are
can label
positive,
it
sorry.
positive. Yeah, you can label it positive or negative. It doesn't, let's say, okay, I'm feeling really tired right now. Instead of beating ourselves up sometimes, which is what we sometimes do, right? Okay, I'm feeling tired. Oh, we shouldn't be feeling tired. You should have energy. It's just letting that go. Be like, you know what? I've had a really tough day today, and that's okay. It's okay to feel tired. And then the M stands for move, right? Linking to this idea of movement, but action. And it's, what do I need right now? This question is so important. If you can gauge the question and just keep checking with this, what do I need right now in this moment? And it could be, I need to have a cup of tea and put my feet up. I need to go on a walk. I need to speak to my partner about what's going on.
Right.
But what is the action? That's where school support struggles, I think, when it's usually a counselling approach. I've had counselling. I love it. There's not much action to it. And when you let's say you've got this student that does want to get out on the sports field, or you're struggling to connect with them, this is a great process. Well, just curious, what emotion are you currently feeling right now? Okay, let's just breathe through this. And actually, just what's making you feel this way? All right, what can we do right now to improve things? And when we can do this and keep checking in with ourselves, it does create this feeling of calm, of ease. And that's really what we want as human beings, is this feeling of peace, of ease, of comfort. So you can make a conscious choice to do that, and that with your students.
From your experience then, are young children able to do that? Because, I'm thinking about their development, maturation, different levels through the school system. And, even myself then, when asked to think about how I'm feeling right now, it's a question that you're not often asked, let's face it. To then think, oh, actually, how am I feeling right now? It can be quite challenging for some people, right? So how do kids react to that?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it in different ways. There could be, I've worked with young primary school students, and you can ask them, what color, if you had to describe your emotion, like what color would it be? And it might be like red, blue, purple, whatever. And when you feel the color in your body, what shape is it? So you can do like that, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't really matter what they're feeling. They could say any generic label, because it's just a label, isn't it?
Yeah.
That the word just describes an accumulation of thought, really, and feeling. So they could say anything. But the more important thing is them checking in with that and just pausing to see where they're at. So, yeah, you can help them, set them up in some ways. You could suggest if you'd like. It's more of the mentor approach. But the more we can do this, imagine starting a lesson with that, and that was a habit for your class. That'd be super powerful. As
a routine at the start of every lesson.
Just an idea. I mean, just imagine if that was built into the school culture, for instance, just having everyone a pause just to think, what do I need right now? How am I actually doing? Like, wow.
Yeah.
What a good check-in.
It is. It really is. And I'm thinking particularly in physical education context where they're about to move, they're about to perform some action. If they do that check-in and understand how they're feeling and perhaps why, and then consider what they need, then they could put that in action whilst they're moving, right? I think.
I just want to jump. Sorry to cut you off, but I think you said something really great there. And I think when they are doing something new activity, which in PE can be kind of daunting because they might fail in front of their friends. I think that's another thing to mention is what's the intention for the activity, which is quite a cool thing. So an intention is not like a goal. It's sort of like how you want to show up to the activity, right? What's your intention? The intention could just be I'm going to learn something new today. I'm going to have some fun today. I'm going to create something new today. But that could be a nice little check-in as well. What's your intention for the lesson? What's your intention for this activity? And actually showing them that what we need to focus on is not the outcome of throwing a javelin, but the process and the learning of the process. Because we can't control the outcome, we control the process. So what's your intention right now for learning how to throw the javelin? Because if it's to be an expert, then you're going to be getting frustrated. If it's actually just to show up and respond to what happens, then that's going to ease them into it, I think, in a more softer way.
I'm really glad you said that, if I'm honest, Sam, because there's a lot of work at the minute about student voice and democratic practices in physical education. yes, we have to have those objectives. We have to kind of develop movement competence, and in some schools there'll be a sequence of learning where, like you said, we've got athletics and we've got these skills that we need to develop. But I think there is potentially a place for having that almost like a separate intention, if you want to call it an intention, as to, yes, this is what we're doing today and the objective we're working towards, but what do you want to get from today's lesson for you right now? Because the objectives of a sequence are over time, right? We want to check their progress over time, but in that one lesson, they might be feeling very different to perhaps last week or next week. So what is their intention for that particular lesson? And they could use that check-in technique, which is, it's given me lots to think about, actually.
Yeah, I think it as well. It's anything in school, especially with PE, because there's so many great lessons to be learned. You know, to being totally honest, it's not about the javelin. It's not about that. It's about what lesson are they learning for themselves personally about understanding a new skill, because they're going to fail. I actually get the kids typed up today. I used to have these big letters in my classroom printed out. Failure is a blessing. I had that over my board in huge letters. And the head teacher came in and was like, so we need to talk about this failure is a blessing thing.
Yeah.
But it creates a safe space. I remember, I was going to say another story there, but getting the kids hyped up to failure, like, guys, we're going to fail today. We're going to fail throwing the javelin. Who's excited to fail? And yes, it's just creating more of a safer space for them to engage the activity and not feel like there's this burden that they have to be perfect or the burden they have to do it correct first time.
Yeah. That failure is the first attempt in learning type message, which, I love. So what other messages are there for teachers that you could share?
Yeah, I want to keep it really simple. I love a good acronym.
Yeah,
this acronym is
like
called
the calm
KISS.
one anyway.
The calm one's good. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but the biggest thing I'm going to share with you to improve your relationships with your colleagues, with your partner, with the kids you teach, with your own kids, is this distinction, right? Which is listening to understand and not to reply. Listening to understand, not to reply. Because the challenges that I see in schools are usually because everyone's so quote unquote busy rushing around. And I know that's the case, right? I've been there. I experienced classroom teaching. I know what it's like. But we're rushing around all the time. We don't actually have a pause and just listen and connect to those young people and even ourselves, right? So listen to understand ourselves. Because a lot of the time we're in this backward listening of not really thinking about the person in front of us, thinking about what can I say to keep the conversation going? If you're working with a student, I've been there and done it, by the way, totally ignore what they're saying and just spoon feed them some generic solution from your own life experience.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry to say,
many people can relate to that.
Yeah, it happens. But I'm going to be totally honest. They don't want your advice. And actually, that's why people don't go away and then action that, because they haven't had the insight for themselves, right? Awareness precedes change. So until you have the awareness of what's going on for you, then you can't actually go away and change. That's why if Nathan, you tell me to do something, I'm like, well, yeah, I get that intellectually, but it's not in my being. I don't know that. And so anyway, we talk a lot in these backward conversations, which is great. It doesn't really serve the other person. But the thing to practice here is actually listening to understand.
Yeah.
And how we do that is by removing our own agenda. A bit like if we've got, I'm going to use a sport analogy here. Don't know why I've thought of this. I don't ice skate, but imagine there's a figure skater on the ice, and we're all in a stadium, and all our attention is on this one figure skater, right? How they're moving their body, they're spinning in the air, maybe even how they're breathing.
Yeah,
and that's the attention we put on this person. It's like the figure skater distinction of we are just watching this person in full, how they're showing up and breathing and things like this, and any keywords they use. And the biggest thing here is then to become a heart with ears. So imagine taking your heart, putting it up into your ears, and then giving that person that much empathy, that much like consideration and focus. And when we do that, people feel valued, heard, respected, understood. So in fact, let's just backtrack here. So we've got all the awareness on there, becoming a heart with ears. And then the next thing is to back that up with a really insightful question, an open question, not a solution, not a share from your past. You can actually ask them in this moment, hey, Nathan, you want my advice or do you want to be listened to? Phenomenal question to ask anyone, because we're so quick to say, oh yeah, this is what happened to me. People don't want that. They want to be validated. And we validate by actually checking in and asking, well, are there a follow-up question, or what do you want from me right now? And then the last thing to build on this emotional intelligence, when you're listening, just ask yourself again, what emotion is this person experiencing right now? That's how we build emotional intelligence. What emotion is this person going through right now? And then finally, give them some acknowledgement and praise for sharing. So we've all been given 2 ears and 1 mouth, most of us. So we should be doing double the amount of listening as we do talking. Most of us can be given the gift of hearing. So hearing is a physiological phenomenon. Most of us can hear. But listening is a psychological act. So listening takes that deeper level. And if you want to improve relationships, it's not actually about communicating or talking more. It's talking less and increasing that listening. And it will transform your relationships with students, your parents, your kids, and your colleagues as well.
That's really powerful. How do we, without asking, understand how someone's feeling? In terms of that emotional intelligence piece that you said about, being aware of how they're feeling when you're listening to them. It can become quite awkward, kind of, in the conversation, like before you start talking to me, how are you feeling today? Or like, how do we go about doing that, particularly with young children?
Yeah, well, that question of how you're feeling today was actually, I didn't make that clear. It's a check-in with your brain, just with you internally. Right. So when you're listening to them, because empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Now, it takes imagination. So all we're doing here is just when you're chatting to that student, it's just subtly in the back of your mind thinking, what emotions is this student going through? What are they feeling right now in themselves? Right. Because we can make a pretty good guess as educators. 70% of our communication is body language and non-verbal cues. And if you're a teacher, you're pretty good at this. You're pretty good at reading people. So it's just pausing for yourself and thinking, what's this person going through? And the other thing is not get fobbed off by people. Again, I fobbed off Susie at the start of my talk in this podcast I'm recording. She was like, "Sir, how are you feeling?" "Yeah, I'm fine." I was not fine. I was in absolute pieces. So again, it's just getting really curious. And if you know the student well or the person, just say, no, I'm serious. Like, how are you today, really? Yeah. I've done this with people all in different walks of life. Mainly in service stations, I like doing this. "How are you doing today?" Generic UK response, "Not bad, fine." I'm like, cool, thanks for sharing. But like, no, how are you really doing? And man, I've had some tough responses just from people I don't even know. But I know in that moment of being a heart with ears for them, as they make my subway, which is the last encounter this happened, bless her, she probably got a 1-2% release of that. And the more we can listen to understand, that's what I mean. Not just get fobbed off or fob people off. How are you really doing today? Connect, really listen. And that will help everyone's mental health in the school community. Yeah.
So if you reflect back to that Susie conversation, would you have told Susie how you were feeling now?
Now I would. Maybe not to the same level. I did an event on this once about how vulnerable we are with students.
Yeah, right.
Because it's a tricky one, isn't it? When it comes to our vulnerability. If I was going back into the classroom now, I'd probably share my whole story with the students, like straight up. Yeah. Like I've done with you here. And I would have said to Susie, you know what? I'm struggling today. I'm not feeling so good. But here's the important thing, right? When we do this for students, yes, it's saying I'm struggling, I'm not feeling so good, but here's the gold. This is how I'm doing something about it. Okay. And that's what I would change now. I'd be like, yeah, Susie, I'm not feeling so good, but actually I'm going to take some time out for myself. Because when I was in that victimhood, I didn't have the consciousness or the awareness of what I really needed. Yeah. Be vulnerable with students, share your failures, share your setbacks, but also show the inspiration of this is how Mr. Walker, Mr. Moinet, whatever, this is how I got over it. This is how I did it.
Yeah. So you'd actually almost like role model the calm sort of process that you go through to show them a method of how they could deal with a similar situation.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like letting them into showing that you're a human being. I remember Ben Stokes did this, 2019 Cricket World Cup. I know cricket's gone downhill a little bit over the last few weeks.
Yeah, certainly.
If you're not a cricket fan, don't worry. But Cricket World Cup, England are favourites, home World Cup, we're smashing it, win the first few games, and then we lose 2 games. I think one to Australia. And the wheels look like they're coming off. And they get a sports psychologist in, and they've got the whole group in a circle, which is very important. Everyone's eye contact. And Ben Stokes, captain of the not captain then, it was Owen Morgan, but Ben Stokes, best player we've got, shares in front of the group, guys, I'm really, really nervous about letting everyone down. And in that moment, now the players, younger junior players, start opening up about they're feeling nervous. And it's this collective sort of nervous suffering. But what it does is means that, wow, you know what? We all haven't got it together, and that's okay. Let's take the pressure off. Same when you're working for a student. Cool, Mr. Walker's not some sort of like robot that can just, he's actually a human being and he's been through it and he's actually pretty inspirational for getting over that. They might not say that to you, but it'll land.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So relationships are incredibly important. Yeah. You talked about building relationships with learners, with colleagues, with everyone you possibly can through empathetic listening and taking time to think about how you're feeling. I would encourage everyone listening to this podcast, if you are listening, thank you very much, to do that today, to do Sam's calm technique, to consider listening with, the heart with ears and actually, trial that and see how you feel. Because I certainly am going to. I feel it's something that we need to do a bit more often. Sam, if you could summarize your key messages for the listener to take away from today's episode, how would you do that? It's a tricky one.
That is a tricky one. Okay, I'll go back to my favorite quote. Now, when I left teaching, this one landed with me big time. And I think it's a summary of the whole episode, which it's easy to build strong children than to repair broken adults. It's easy to build strong children than to repair broken adults. And the more we can bring compassion, love, empathy, and in my case, coaching into the classroom, the more people are going to better understand themselves, and therefore they're going to grow in resilience and not have those problems when they're adults. Right? If I'd learned this stuff as a student, or even as a teacher, if I had more support as a teacher, I wouldn't have got to the point of crying in front of a group of children. So the more we can actually self-regulate and check in with ourselves, the easier, the more happier, the more content we'll be. And the best thing about this is a lot of this stuff that we share at the Educators Coaching Academy, the teachers love it because it's instigated straight away. It's very fast to instigate. The tools we share with staff, the techniques we share, we keep it simple, stupid. We we don't kiss, but we keep it simple, stupid. Caveat there. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's not, it's not too in depth. It's just something that lands really well. And if you're a teacher listening to this and you're feeling a little bit low, a little bit lost, do reach out and get some support, because the better you can show up for yourself, the better you'll show up at work. But you're not just a teacher, you're a partner, a brother, a friend, and those people need you just as much as your kids. So I know it's scary, I know it's tough, but just remember this, like, true courage is not the size of your biceps. In my case, serving your country or being captain of a team or a leader. True courage is having the strength to be vulnerable when you're not feeling so good. And that's the most important thing to take from this episode.
Sam, I've loved it. I've loved it. So many powerful messages for our listeners. Where can people find you?
They can find me. They can find me on. So my website is ecatraining.com. That's the ECA website. There's also studentbreakthrough.com. So ecatraining.com, studentbreakthrough.com. Instagram's going pretty good at the moment. That's at Student Breakthrough. Yeah. And you can find me on LinkedIn, where I do most of my posts, which is, my name's Sam Moinet. Yeah. But please do reach out, connect. We train teachers all across the world in coaching. We can help you with your mental health and really skyrocket your own growth. So please do reach out and connect. It'd be great to meet you after this episode. Yeah.
I think you've well and truly earned that plug at the end of the episode with the content you shared today, Sam. So thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time to join me on the pod.
No worries. Thank you so much, Nathan. I've really loved it. Cheers.
It's been brilliant.